Good evening, everybody. It's Monday, September 14th, and today I want to do something that I don't really get to do a whole lot, and that's put a whole bunch of figs up against each other in a versus of sorts. For those of you that are following my channel, all of my figs are pretty young. My oldest fig is only about 2 years old, and as such, they haven't really come into full production. So while I've reviewed all of these figs on this plate in the past, I haven't really been able to put them up side by side because the trees aren't mature enough and they aren't really giving enough production to where I can get good ripening at the same time. But now these varieties are finally starting to come in. The trees are getting older, they're producing more, the figs are getting larger. So as the years drag on, I'm going to have way more production and more opportunity where trees will ripen and I'll get great quality figs all at the same time. So I have a number of figs here. The two little ones over here are Sao Miguel Roxo, which is a Mount Etna Chicago hardy type. They're smaller and they're not really quite as intense as these larger figs. This fig right here is my Italian 258, and I'm having a lot of trouble with the Italian 258 this year because it's been such a wet summer. So I've been seeing a lot of bursting, as you can clearly see. This has completely blown open, and it has some honey in the interior, but because it's split, it didn't get a chance to ripen completely. So I'm seeing a big change in color this year with my Italian 258. Last year we had an unusually dry summer, and the Italian 258 was a nice dark purple, and it very rarely exploded at the bottom. But this year we're having a crazy wet year. We've had well over 30 inches of rain since June 1st, and I'm noticing my fig is a lot, most of my figs are a lot lighter in color. Most of them are darker than this. It's like this because it split open on me and it's not quite perfectly ripe, but definitely a big color change with this wet year that we're having. Then over here I have my reverted Col de Dame Rimada, which is basically a dead ringer for Col de Dame Blanc. This burst on me a lot last year in its first season, but it's been a rock star this year. It has been handling the wet really well, and I had to pick this one early because it is one of the only ones that have started to open on the bottom on me. But you can see I'm actually getting a little bit of honey in the eye there, which is really unusual for this variety. Usually they don't get like that. And then over here I have my first year white Madeira, which has been maintaining a pretty tight eye. It does attract some ants, but it has been an absolute rock star in this wet climate, and it has not burst on me at all, and this is just dead ripe. I think this is going to be an absolute winner. So let's cut these open, and I want to give you a side-by-side. But before I go ahead and I taste test these figs, I want to give them a weigh in, and this white Madeira is so heavy, it's got to be a 50 grammer. That is 57 grams. Wow, that is a really nice big fig. Wow, I'm surprised it's that heavy. That's a nice size fig right there. Really happy about that. My Italian 258s have been mostly larger than this. This one's a little bit on the smaller side for an Italian 258. I think most of them had to have been in the 60 gram range, but this is still really nice at 52 grams. That's a nice size fig as well. And my Col de Dame Rimadas are definitely getting larger as well, and that is at 56 grams. So really nice size figs all around. And of course these Sao Miguel Roxos are not really going to be able to compete. 19 grams and 24 grams. These are very similar to a Chicago hardy, so they're just a smaller, earlier fig. But I'm going to start off with the Sao Miguel Roxo because it's just the least impressive fig out of all of these, and it's a plain old berry fig. It's good for commercial growing. It ships very well, but it's not going to blow any minds. And you can see this is a very it's a jammy light berry fig. Really a good all-around fig, good for fresh eating, good in wet climates. But side by side, it is going to struggle to compete with these other higher end figs. So we're going to start off with the Col de Dame Rimada, which is reverted. And that thing is just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There's no other way to say it. It's just a spectacular fig. But I think what's really going to blow us away here is the white Madeira. This white Madeira feels like a bag of jelly, so I know it is perfectly ripe and ready to go. Yeah, and that right there is just a stunner of a fig. All of them have been turning out really well for me in this very wet year. So I think this may be a top tier fig for wet climates. Very impressed. And then finally, my best fig of 2019 is the Italian 258, and it's been struggling this year. However, even though it's a bit underripe, it is still a really beautiful fig. And what the Italian 258 really excels at is that syrupy interior. And again, it's not perfectly ripe, so it could get a lot more syrupy, but we really need to do a side-by-side because it's still nicely ripe. And this image right here is why I grow figs. It's for this time of year. This is just next to the start of tomato season in mid to late May for me. This is the best time of year. It's hard to beat fresh figs. And these are some really super premium varieties. So I'm going to start off with my old favorite standby, the Italian 258. Fantastic as always. Now, I have noticed that in the rain, the flavor profile has changed a little bit versus what it tasted like last year. Last year, I detected more of a berry flavor, but this year, it's tasting more like a peach. This tastes like peaches and honey to me. It's very sweet and very low acidity. It is just a delicious, sweet, syrupy fig with a strawberry aftertaste. It tastes like strawberries, peaches, and honey. Absolutely delicious. And then side by side, I'm going to try this reverted Col de Dame Rimada. And in my experience, these have a very different flavor profile. And it does. It's not quite as sweet as the Italian 258. It has a thicker texture. But it has a more pronounced berry flavor. That complex peach strawberry flavor isn't there. This is more like strawberry. So this is a deeper fig with a little less sweetness, but still excellent nonetheless. And all of these are suffering a bit because of the rain. This right here is the white Madeira #1. Oh my. Now, this may not be perfectly fair because this was the best ripened fig, but this is just absolutely incredible. This tastes like strawberry pie. This is like if you go to the store and you buy strawberry preserves and you open the jar and you just take a big spoonful out of it. This is so heads and shoulders above the other two, it's not even funny. I've never had a Col de Dame that tastes as good as this fig. Italian 258 may be able to give it a run for its money, but this is handling my wet weather so much better than the Italian 258 that the 4 or 5 figs I've gotten off of the white Madeira #1 tree, they've all been spectacular. Perfectly ripened in the dry Italian 258. I don't know how it would compare to this. I can't quite do that with my current conditions, but this is so far above and beyond. It's just incredible. And last but not least, the Sao Miguel Roxo. Really good. A really good fig. The nice thing about the Sao Miguel Roxo is no matter how hard it rains, it's always good. It always tastes the same. It's a very consistent performer. It doesn't quite have the complexity of the other larger figs, but it's still really fantastic. It's incredibly reliable. And it has a really nice acidic aftertaste. It's smaller, but in terms of those cold hardy figs, the Sao Miguel Roxo is really a standout. It blows away Chicago Hardy, although it is similar. And it's really one that I think everybody should be growing because it fruits quickly, it's cold hardy, it ripens early. It's just one that everybody who has, you know, a 180-day growing season should be growing. It's a really good fig. And it just wouldn't be a fig video without getting the Dalester involved. So Dale has been waiting patiently for his bite of a fig. So Dale, this is called a Col de Dame Rimada. What do you think, buddy? I'm holding another fig in my hand, so that's why he's eyeing it up. I'm swirling the fig around the camera, and he is following it like a heat-seeking laser. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. Down it goes. Ooh, up it goes. Follow the magic fig. I'm sorry, I'm messing with you, buddy. Can you give us a shake? Very, very good, buddy. My best friend. Which one did you like better? Probably the third fig, right? You like the next one better. It's always the next bite. Always looking forward to his next meal. That's the Dalester. So the fig that has really exceeded my expectations in every way this year has been the white Madeira #1. My best fig of the season was the Del San Juan Gran, but the production is pretty low so far. It's only on its first season. It's a few months old, so I think it'll get a lot better next year. But the white Madeira, wow. It put on so much growth its first year. It put on so many fruits, just incredibly prolific. They're big fruits, even on the tiny tree. They're ripening at 50 grams, and the rain doesn't seem to bother them that much. So this is definitely a top tier fig. And so far, it may be displacing Italian 258 as my favorite fig. And while Italian 258 does have that fantastic flavor, it's having trouble in the rain that white Madeira #1 is not having. So white Madeira #1, bar none, is getting a guaranteed spot in my yard next year. It's been my most impressive variety so far. So everybody, thank you so much for watching this versus taste test video. I really appreciate your viewership. As always, if you're curious about anything that I'm using in my garden, everything I use is linked in my Amazon storefront in the video description. If you can begin your Amazon shopping with one of our links or through the storefront, we get a little piece of that pie, and that really helps me and Dale keep making these videos. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video.